Alright, bro. Let's take off. What the f- Masked. Hazard level A, they take 4 hits to kill, they'll insta-kill you, max spawn is 10, and they're most commonly found on Artifice. Masked have 3 phases: roam, follow, and hide.
Crazy, dog.
Man, that nigga's loaded so bad.
Masks will spawn through vents just like every other entity. They will always spawn with the standard orange suit and mask. They'll immediately enter phase 1, where they'll roam using the standard AI search routine. While they're roaming, they'll randomly look around and randomly sprint. Masks have a field of view of 60 degrees and can see up to 60 meters away. Masks are the only other enemy other than Ghost Girl that can go in and outside. The masked will not go outside unless there are no players inside. As soon as the last player leaves indoors, the masked will head straight for the main entrance and go outside. The only time a masked will go back inside is if there are no players outside. Also note that masked cannot use fire exit, they can only use main entrance. Once the masked is outside, it will continue roaming around in phase 1. If the masked spots a player, it will enter phase 2. The masked will stop and stare at the player for 2 to 5 seconds, then it will begin following them. While the masked is in this phase, there are 3 bubbles that tell it how to behave. If it is anywhere outside these bubbles, it will always be sprinting towards the player. Once the mask reaches the 12-meter bubble, it will stop sprinting and begin walking towards the player. And once it's within 6 meters of the player, it will put its hands up like a zombie. During this phase, the mask uses 3 major functions: stop and stare, run randomly, and lose player in chase. Stop and stare is triggered the moment the mask enters this phase, as I mentioned earlier. Once the mask begins following you, there is a 5 to 8 second timer constantly running in the background. Every time that timer hits 0, the mask will stop and stare for anywhere between 0 and 3 seconds. Like I said before, the mask will always be running when it is outside the 17-meter bubble. However, once it's inside this bubble, it uses the run randomly function to tell it when to start running and when to stop running. Masks have a stamina bar that allows them to sprint for up to 6 seconds. There is a 0.7 to 5 second timer constantly running in the background. Every time that timer hits 0, there's a chance that the mask will begin running depending on where it is. Indoors, there's a 20% chance, and outdoors, there's a 35% chance, meaning masks are more likely to begin running outdoors. The same timer is used to tell the mask when to stop running, however, the chances change. The chances for the mask to stop running inside is 30% and outside is 80%. Or if their stamina bar depletes, this will also cause them to stop sprinting. This means, on average, masks will sprint for longer periods of time indoors and will have short sprint bursts outdoors. The lost player in chase function is very simple and used by many other entities. This function triggers the moment the enemy loses sight of their target and lasts 10 seconds. The mask will search near the last place it saw the player, and if it doesn't spot anyone after the 10 seconds, it will return to phase 1. Masks also have a hiding phase, which can only be triggered if the mask is outside. Also, just want to give a quick shout out to Dummy Dude and Geo for help decompiling masks. Once it's wandered within 22 meters of the ship, it will enter its hide phase. The mask will walk directly onto the ship and either stand or crouch in a random spot inside the ship. It will stay in this position until either you look at the mask or you step within 6 meters of the mask. The most common spots I've seen in game are here, here, and here, so be sure to check those spots, especially if you're playing on Artifice. There are 2 more ways that masks can spawn. The first way is if an employee picks up and uses a mask. The first 10 seconds an employee picks up a mask, it cannot turn them even if they're holding it to their face. After the first 10 seconds, there is a 65% chance the mask will turn you every 5 seconds you hold it to your face. That 65% chance will also roll every time you bring it up to your face. This goes for both the comedy and tragedy mask. There is no difference between the two other than the fact that the comedy mask will laugh and the tragedy mask will cry. The second way is if a mask grabs a player. It will lock them into position and throw up on them for 3 seconds. The only way to get out of this animation is if another employee hits the mask. If the animation completes, the player will die and their body will turn into a mask. If an employee gets turned, their blip on the terminal will constantly spin around, so don't teleport your teammate if you see them spinning. Masks can climb up and down ladders faster than you and will be stunned by stun grenades for about 5.5 seconds. Masks have 4 HP, meaning they will take 4 hits from a shovel or a knife and up to 3 shots from a shotgun. Hitting a masked will stun it for half a second. There's a 40% chance it will begin sprinting after each hit and a 100% chance it will sprint once it reaches 1 HP. If there's a mask on your map, you want to take it out as soon as possible because wandering masks can be very dangerous considering how well they are at cutting players off. The easiest way to do this is to ensure you have a lot of space and full stamina as you hit the mask and sprint backwards after each hit. Guys, if you have Twitch, please listen up. On stream, I'm playing Interactive Company, which is a mod that allows you to literally control my game. You can teleport me, you can spawn fake jesters, you can even spawn enemies that are coded into Lethal Company but aren't actually implemented. If I get raided, a giant mask will spawn and one mask will spawn for every viewer they raid me with. The devs for this mod have been working on new commands, new ways to interact, and if you've been tuning into the streams, you've seen the 2 cutscenes Dummy Dude has created. It's only a matter of time before he creates the next cutscene. Go follow me on Twitch, I'm live every weekend, first link in the description.